The fourth commandment in our English Bible is the longest, and we'll read it as it appears in Exodus chapter 20 and verses 8 to 11. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labour and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. When I was young, the first day of the week was Sunday, what we would have traditionally called the Lord's Day. And you would have seen it on every calendar where the days of the week were arranged in 7 columns across, with Sunday in the first column. I've noticed that over the years that the first day of the week seems to have drifted, and now many, maybe the most of calendars, place Monday as the first day of the week. Perhaps it's just another indication of how secular our society in the West has become. Sabbath simply means to cease from working or to rest, but it's actually very close to another Hebrew word that means 7 or simply seventh. The very first time we encounter the word is in Genesis chapter 2 verse 2, where it reads, "And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made." And then in verse 3, we actually read the 3 words rested, seventh, and Sabbath all together, one after the other. So the seventh day, or the Sabbath day, is actually Saturday. It's not Sunday. But here's an important thing. In verse 11, where we've read, the idea of resting on the Sabbath days actually linked right back with God's order in creation. And that points to the importance that God places on a day of rest each seventh day, each week. The 7-day week is part of God's creation, and a day of rest is integral to it. In the late 18th century, France tried to introduce a 10-day week and a decimal year, but the attempts to do that were actually very short-lived, and it's little wonder, because man needs that 7th day of rest. Now, whenever we read the fourth commandment in Deuteronomy chapter 5 verse 15, it's a little different. It reminded the Israelites that the requirement to keep the Sabbath was specially linked to that nation, because what it says there is, "Thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and the Lord thy God brought thee out thence through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore the Lord thy God commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day." So the keeping of the Sabbath, with the various regulations that were given through Moses, was specifically enjoined upon that nation. And it is actually very interesting that keeping the Sabbath in the way that the Jews did, and Orthodox Jews still do, is not something that is commanded to Christians to keep. But that doesn't remove the human need to rest one day a week. It mightn't stop you doing necessary things. In fact, the Lord Jesus spoke about necessary things in Luke 13 and Luke 14 in relation to watering animals and lifting them out of a pit. But I've often thought that it has been a great blessing to us that there is one day a week in which we can still give particular attention to the things of God. That change from daily routine is as good as a rest. So let's remember the fourth commandment. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.